All right, hi everybody. Welcome back. My name is Dean. That is the harmonica, and you hear Lachlan snapping his fingers in the back. And everybody's good. Everybody's happy. Everybody's here. We're Tuesday, so not even halfway through the week. We're amped up. I know the world's going a little crazy. We always have questions. We always try to make the world around us a little bit of a better place. At least we do here at DeanBlundell.com. Do we take a strip off of a few people from now and again? Yeah, but it's in the greater interest of the greater good. That is what we do here, people. We're not here to fuck around anymore. So please welcome to the program a guy who has more questions than us. We're dedicating an entire podcast to it, and I couldn't be happier about it. Please welcome from Kenny versus Spenny, Spencer Rice, ladies and gentlemen. Spenny is in the house.
Thank you. You got a lot of beautiful girls that follow you, Dean. At least
What do you mean?
Well, their comment thread. You can see pictures of some very beautiful women.
It's a very exciting comment thread to be involved in. It's difficult to do the show and follow the comment section. I find I like to turn it off because it's so distracting.
Well, you can't do that today. Like we're doing. I build this. Did you not see it on Twitter, dude? I build it as like
I don't read your shit.
Okay, can I just start with I did it again, Dean. I did it again. Oops. You know the pink thing happened, right? Then the pink thing where I made a joke and it got misinterpreted and I got hate. Yeah. Then I did it with Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
And I got hate. So and I really said to myself, I got to be careful what I do. You know who I did it to 2 days ago?
Nope.
Monica Lewinsky.
Are you serious? You triggered Monica Lewinsky?
Well, it was so unintentional, but when I look at it now, it was so dumb. I just don't think like this. But she put out a tweet asking for good movies to watch. Yeah. So I said, hang on. It's funnier than you think. I said, are you into docs? Because if you're into docs, I've got a load of them. Right? And I had no idea that, of course, there's a double entendre on the word load. And so everybody, not huge amounts of people, obviously, but I was horrified because I like Monica Lewinsky. I feel badly for what she went through, and I'm very.
I gotta wave the bullshit flag. You did not do that by accident. I mean, the emphasis in the retelling of the story. There's a whole bunch of things going on here, Spenny, that would lead me to believe that you did that on purpose.
Yeah. Maybe I'm doing it all on purpose. I don't know, but subconsciously. But it would be subconscious because literally. Someone
I wish I would think of stuff like that.
Someone had like a bunch of like those happy faces. Yep. And I said, I didn't really say anything funny. Let me read it again. And then another comment came in and another comment came in. And I started to realize, oh my God, he thinks I made a cum joke on her. Oh,
you did. You totally made a cum joke. Yeah, you did. Well, you did. Spenny, you made a cum joke. You made a cum joke to Monica Lewinsky, who has been a cum joke for basically 25 years.
Words
and
she's really been trying to load too, Spenny.
Yeah, she's really trying hard to get out from behind the cum jokes. And there you
are. Let me ask
you
a question. When you tweet, both of you gentlemen, do you think about it much? I just sort of write and hit send. I don't really think about it.
I got to be honest. Yes. I worry about spelling because I was educated in Yak, BC. I was honors in at Yak High, and I thought that was exceptional status. And then I met my wife a couple years later and realized I was a complete moron, and I can't spell anything. So, and then I don't care about spelling. It's what other people think. So what ends up happening is you completely lose the point of your tweet or the humor of it if everyone starts pointing out your grammar and your spelling mistakes. So I do spend some time thinking about what I'm writing.
No, but what he's talking about is stream of consciousness, which in like a reputational age that we live in, it's like the worst thing you could do is not think about a tweet before you send it out. But what you're saying is
talking to you for nothing. Exactly.
Okay, so can I get back to the Monica Lewinsky cum joke? Did she take umbrage with it? Was she upset?
I hope she didn't see it, but it's just the people that caught it, you know.
What did they say? What was the reaction?
And she was attached to it, and I said, I didn't mean that, which was, I don't know. Okay, so here's the next thing. So I went on a walk today with my dogs. It was like 1,000 degrees out.
It's the hottest day of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. And I came home, and this is what I look like. And my wife said I have titty sweat.
Yeah, it's boob sweat. Yeah,
that is not titty sweat. Let's take a closer look. You see where my nipple is?
Yeah,
that's underneath the nipple. That's under boob sweat.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so because
your wife's right.
Boobs. What it is, it's precipice belly sweat.
Oh, so you got a bit of a shelf?
Yes.
So you're carrying a little more weight than maybe you want to right now because of your age and and the metabolism is slowing down. I got a similar issue. So I got a bit of a shelf right underneath of my well-defined pectorials.
Oh, I don't believe.
And so I do get.
Since you're accusing me of cum jokes, I'd like to see your pectorials. My guess is they don't exist.
I need to warm up.
Pectorials isn't even a fucking word. First of all, it's pectorals. It's not pectorials.
Whatever you want to call it.
This is exactly why I be very careful about what I tweet. Just look. Like judgment and comments like that, like right now.
Like, because we're judging you? Well, first of all, let me get back to the tit sweat. So first of all, you absolutely made a cum joke at Monica Lewinsky on Twitter, which, by the way, I don't really care about. I think that's funny. I've got a load of movies you could watch. That's best. So that's dealt with. Now let's move on to the tit sweat. That is tit sweat, and you don't get tit sweat around the nipples. You get it underneath the tits.
Because your tits are sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, because your tits are on the shelf. And so when you're walking, the perspiration, you call it belly precipice, I think is what you called it, the precipice of the upper belly region. The tit sweat gathers right under here, commonly known as the Mickey Mouse ears. Because if you're real fortunate, you get the navel sweat. And so you get the face of Mickey, and then you get the ears right here, Mickey Mouse ears. That's what a lot of guys suffer from later in life. And it's not a badge of honor. It is cool that you're exercising and you took the dog for a walk. But that is definitely tit sweat, Spenny. I'm pretty sure.
All right.
This podcast so far is like wildly exceeding my expectations. We've talked about loads and titty sweat. I am having a great day. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm waiting for him to roll the clip of me shitting my pants, and then I go say to myself, "Why do I come on this show?" He disagrees with me, and then he rolls the most humiliating footage. Okay, so I'm asking questions, right?
Yeah. So can I set this up?
Yeah.
Okay, so Spenny, of course, legendary comedian, Kenny versus Spenny, super long run, really redefined a bunch of that sketch, like intense sketch comedy that's like way out there. That a lot of cum jokes, a lot of shitting of the pants, a lot of drugs, a lot of acid, which I want to get to your drug list. But Spenny he's in a, like, would you call it a metamorphosis? You know, some of the conversations we've had, like you're one of the most authentic people I've ever met. Like what you see is what you get. This person that's like curious and wants to know more. And like the only guy I know on Twitter who was like when Pink went after him, I don't know if you saw that a couple weeks ago. Pink went after Pink's fans went after him. She let him off the hook. Makes a joke about Roe v. Wade and same thing he did but without the cum portion of the joke. Same thing he did with Monica Lewinsky. He likes to get in there and kind of have fun with it. So Pink's fans, like millions of them, get after him. And he can't. And one of the things that he put on Twitter, he's like, "Oh my God, make it stop!" Like nobody says that on Twitter. People either just hide or say "fuck you." But Kenny's like, "No, please make it stop." He's one of the
Spenny.
Sorry, Spenny. I know. Spenny was like, "Make it stop," and he's like, "That was so."
I can't remember my name. Very good.
Sarah Silverman was like, gets after him, and he's like, "Oh, now great, here we go. Everybody's gonna come after me." So. He's very authentic. He's very real. He doesn't really care that he's on social media, and he has no problem asking. As a matter of fact, you're friends with a lot of people on social media, but it is sparked, and just social media, but it has sparked, the last couple of years, an awakening inside you, or like this thing. I don't know. How do you describe it? How do you describe?
I'm not going to agree on anything today.
Okay.
I don't think it's an awakening. It's always been there. It's just that the situations are so fucking fucked.
Yeah. And
the people are so fucking dumb that I've gone down the rabbit hole. It's always been there. It's just it's unbelievable.
People are so fucking dumb. Explain that to me.
Well, not everybody, obviously, but the people that I fight against, they're dumb. They have no nuance. They don't know how to form a rational, intelligent argument. They believe conspiracy theories. They're completely tribal in the most transparent way, but yet they talk like they know what they're talking about. And if you just scratch below the the surface. They have no idea. They don't know history. They don't read books. And that's not everybody, but I don't mind talking about these people in that way, which is one of my questions. Maybe I should make that the first question. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, because, lately when I call people stupid, they come back at me. Some good people come back at me and say that I'm contributing to division. So my question to you, is that true? And if it's true, what am I supposed to do? When someone says the election was stolen, or professional athletes are dropping dead from the vaccine, things that are demonstrably false, am I supposed to not say they're insane and they're dumb? Because if I do, I'm somehow part of the division problem? That's quite a convenient scenario for these people.
It's fucking great question. Way to start.
That's a great start.
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people skirt around this issue, right? Where it's like, it's really that conundrum lives on social media. And I was going to tweet this last night, where you can tweet, hey, this guy with the convoy won't get vaccinated. Case in point, Mark Friesen didn't get vaccinated. He had like necrotic pneumonia, where his lungs turned into Swiss cheese, and from his deathbed was like, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. And I'm like, that guy's dumb, right? And I got lit up because the guy was in the hospital with Swiss cheese lung. But that is dumb. That is dumb to go into the hospital with COVID-induced necrotic pneumonia, where your lungs are literally rotting out of your chest, and you literally from your deathbed tweet, it's just a cold. Like, it's like, that's dumb. And then you'll go, this guy's an idiot. And the amazing part is how they come back at you and they go, really? You want to contribute to division? You want to contribute? You're fucking evil. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the guy that's in the hospital who's laying there dying is like, fuck you, fuck medicine, fuck the doctors, fuck everybody. And you're like, are you not looking at this? Like, are you not watching this? But my theory is like, I don't think those people who do that, who like come back at you and say you're just contributing to division, I think it's the only coin they have in their purse. Mm-hmm. Like, I really do. I think it's like, it is so intensely obvious how hurtful a lot of people that live on that side of the ledger are when it comes to like lying about people's sickness, disinformation, ivermectin, horse paste, vitamin C. This isn't real. They don't and you say to them, well, that's contributing to division. And they're like, no, I'm just giving people an alternative opinion. And then when you say you're a fucking idiot and they go, that's evil, my answer to them generally is, it's just an alternative opinion, kind of like yours.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, at what point let's say the election steal.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. So they've gone to court. I don't know how many times they've lost every case but one. Every, buddy that isn't a Trumper seems to say they're calling it the big lie. So what's the standard of truth? Because you could say that about anything. And then where are we as a culture? Like, what there has to be, if I'm wrong, if I post something on social media and I'm wrong and I've done it, I apologize and I correct my mistake. Why is that so easy for me and so hard for, it seems like these people? I don't get it.
That's a great point. Is that you should have a starting point for fact-based conversations, and it should be based in truth and fact, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Or even close to truth. Like, even if you can't 1,000% prove that the election wasn't rigged and stolen, but you're 98% sure, that's truth to me. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you that is the only way that I can think of answering your question for us about whether or not you're adding to the division in the world that we live in, because I believe you are. But I think what you need to do, Spenny, is ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing, because you need to be comfortable with what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
And if you can come to some sort of realization, then I think you'll get closer to the answer.
I know,
because I'm not saying you're wrong for doing it. Yeah. I'm saying that that's the struggle I've been going through over the last couple of years. when I get thrown into the divisive conversations that I don't want to be a part of, I've taken a look back at it and gone, okay, what was the point? What was my contribution to this? And did I gain anything from it? And at the end of the day, my answer has been coming back more and more, no, and this is unhealthy for me. So I've been trying to avoid those divisive conversations and going down that path, because I've also learned something. It does not matter. And again, I don't think you're wrong in what you're doing, Spenny. I want to make sure that you
asking questions.
If I thought you were,
ask Monica Lewinsky.
If I thought you were wrong, I would say you're wrong, but I don't think you're wrong in what you're doing.
Right.
I figured out that you're not going to influence that individual's opinion. Very rarely is someone on that side of this and your side of it, is he ever or she ever going to come back and go, you know what, Spenny, that's right. I agree with you. Maybe Trump didn't get the election stolen from him.
When do I get the answer? Because I can answer all of it. First of all, I do it because I like it. Second of all,
then that's good.
Yeah, maybe I'm a
massive.
You need. I don't know, but I'm not trying to change those guys' minds. I'm trying to humiliate them so that the people that understand truth and reasonable arguments are going to get off their ass and fucking vote. That's why I do it. I don't have I don't think, and by the way, I don't even think I can do that successfully, but I'm not trying to change the mind of a Trumper. That is like, hitting your head against a brick wall. I totally agree with you on that.
Okay, well then there you go. That's the answer. Then you need to keep it up, right? And I'll start retweeting you.
That's what my wife says.
All the time. Your wife tells you to shit tweet all the time too? She
tells
you to shit post? Keep it up. Yeah, you have to.
She's trying to keep you in the basement.
Well, yeah, she's trying to keep you away from the neighbors. You get into these arguments and conversations with people all the time. In terms of, sorry, I don't believe it. You get into conversations with people all the time. It's like high road or low road. And we don't live in a black and white world anymore where you're like, oh, I always take the high road. Sometimes, Spenny, to accomplish the goals that you need to accomplish, you have to get on that low road with those cretins. Like, you have to. And if it's not,
I don't give a fuck what they think about me.
Well, exactly, dude. Do you know how many times I've watched your show?
For this job.
Yeah, you're perfect, dude. You used to shit yourself on TV for money.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you care what someone thinks about you on Twitter.
Exactly.
But my point is this, and I think about it in terms, because I go by the adage, what's bad for the hive is bad for the bee, right? Like, the things that I do to groups of people are things I'm doing to myself, and they make me a worse person. But part of it is I enjoy doing that.
Right.
I enjoy doing that to certain people. I enjoy the schadenfreude in life. Like, when something bad happens to a bad person, case in point, our friend Pat King, who got arrested got let out of jail yesterday after spending 5 months in jail, and immediately breached his bail conditions within like 2 hours of getting out of jail. Not only did I celebrate it, I made sure that we paid for some organic searches so that video of his stupidity, and not only the video of his stupidity, but the picture of him that he posted on social media, I don't know if you guys saw it, or that some people posted on social media of him, I made sure that got out, because I'm like, fuck that guy, right? And fuck
you
that
did something else, Dean. You did something else, which I actually supported you and applauded you for. You actually posted, I think, I'm pretty sure it was you, that, maybe his whatever few months in jail is enough already.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very magnanimous, or however you say that word, and I thought it was right. And I agreed with you on that. So you're not all, I mean, that was a nice thing to say and a decent thing to say.
But that's how I approach it, right? Is where you're like, okay, we look into these situations.
Because you're an honest person. You're a thoughtful person. You're not.
Those people aren't those, Spenny. That's the thing, and those people that they're fighting for their like legitimate hillbilly lives.
Most people are. That's where I want this conversation to go. I think most people are like us, maybe not as good looking or intelligent,
talented, but creative,
or well hung. But no, honestly, I think most people are like us. And the challenge is, and this was one of my questions,
I think you're right.
How do we, well, first of all, does voting make a difference? because I've heard people say it doesn't matter. I hate those people who say, oh, they're both corrupt. Fuck them all. Well, that's bullshit. They may be both corrupt, but that doesn't mean that. So how do you get people that are decent, intellectually honest to go and vote? And will that make a difference? That's my question.
Great question. I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't know about you. Like, I don't know where you are, Loch and Spenny. Not Kenny, Spenny. I don't know where you guys are at, but what the last couple of years have done is it's made people either go this way or that way when it comes to voting, right? Like, I don't know that I've ever
people that aren't on social media, and there's
totally.
Right?
Well, I think there's only like 8 or 9 million people in this country that have Twitter accounts. There's 35 million people. I mean, there's a ton of people on Facebook. Like, I think more than half the country has a Facebook account. I think 7 million people have a Twitter account. Instagram isn't where you get all that information, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Usually it's Twitter.
It's 20 million. 20 million in Canada on Facebook.
How many are bots, according to...
and that's the thing, is that the game now isn't just taking the low road to fight back. The game now, which adds another layer to the ridiculousness, the game now is like, you're not just fighting against, a few thousand degenerate losers who want to watch the world burn, hate Trudeau, hate everything that's not, at the feet of God, don't want to get vaccinated, don't believe in science, legitimately the dumbest fucks in the country, like legitimately. If it weren't for the, 20 million, 30 million accounts that are owned by bots, troll farms in St. Petersburg. Have you seen Agents of Chaos? Have you seen that series?
Loved it.
If you
haven't seen it,
oh, dude, you got to watch it. If you haven't watched Agents of Chaos, you'll.
It's amazing. It's Alex Gibney,
and Alex is great. Alex Gibney is one of my favorite documentary makers. But if you haven't watched Agent of Chaos, you're going to have a hard time understanding. But I'll kind of try to walk people through it. Is that when you go after someone who makes a comment that's untrue, untoward, something that's clearly hurtful, something that's clearly bullshit. Like, you remember this is a terrible story. This 10-year-old girl that had to go out of state to get an abortion down in the States. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't even want to talk about
it was fake.
Yeah. And like Kristi Noem, who's the North Dakota governor, name's Kristi Noem. She's like, this is a fake story. And then a couple of other people, bigger names, picked it up. This is a fake story. By the way, very real. It's a very fucking real story.
Oh, and it's like,
and all of a sudden, you started to see the amplification process. You started to see like accounts with like eggs as avatars and a bunch of different, to the tune where 90% of the traffic that was negative or thought that story was not true, more than 90, I think it was like 95% of the online traffic was bullshit. It was all made up. These were not real people. They were all bots. And it's not just there, it's everywhere. And so when you start arguing with these people, my point is this: when you get on the low road, you might just be on the low road with Sergey, who's got operating 10,000 accounts today out of a troll farm in St. Petersburg. So you have to do two things. You got to, and sounds really crazy, but you got to scope their bio. You got to go, this is what I do. This is what we do. We put, anytime we get a disruptive account that comes after us a bunch of times, we'll put it through Bot Sentinel, which is a program. And then you're like, okay, this guy's not even fucking real. He's from Russia or Sri Lanka or whatever. And then what you do is you look at when they created the account, 2021, 2022. Generally speaking, if someone's entire feed is full of anti-truth, anti-science, super divisive, religious, anti-vax bullshit, what I'll do is if they've joined in the last 2 years, I block them immediately, because you're not having an argument or a conversation with anyone normal. Like you're just not. And the one way that you can tell if it's not is how long have they been on Twitter? Really, really simple. What is their feed with? Is this a real person? But 90 to 95% of the people that uphold this bullshit aren't even real, dude. Like, they're not even fucking here. They're just, it's one guy with 10,000 accounts.
Don't make it sound complicated, because that goes into my next question. But I wanted Lachlan, I think, wanted to talk. But my question,
on the voting thing,
it's not. But this is not complicated. It's like I think, Dean, when we talked privately, I was telling you about Noam Chomsky. How, the people that sometimes we call dumb, they're really not dumb. Some of them are, obviously, but you could talk to them about sports and they would have a very complex view of statistics, of things that are somewhat complicated, right? So the question becomes, this isn't a difficult story to understand. Russia wants democracy to eat dirt, so they figured out a way to invade our social media with disinformation. And my next question is going to be, what is mainstream's media's? Have they dropped the ball on explaining this to people? Because I think I'm somewhat.
I got to weigh in on the vote thing before we get too far, go. Because I've actually reached a very interesting point in my life, and I know you have no clue who I am, Spenny. So I'll give you a bit of a background. Traditionally speaking, I have been more of a conservative, and I have voted more conservative over the years, right? No, and I'm not making any apologies for that. It's the way I'm wired, and I've always maintained that fits more in what I've never felt represented by any political party. I feel like I live in this middle that is highly unrepresented, but I'm not a liberal. I never really have been my whole life. And that wasn't something that came to be when I turned 40 or something, or got hit on the head when I was playing hockey. I've always been sort of conservative minded. And I think a lot of it has to do with growing up poor and I can't wrap my head around the idea of like just spending our way out of trouble. Right. Sure. That's just a brief explanation, but I am disgusted with politics as a whole. And it's been getting more and more predominant in the way I think. And I've been really struggling because I also am very proud to live here. And I know what we have. And I know that we're on the balance of it not being as good. And I'm very concerned about moving forward. And the corruption on all level of politics is bothering me, because now when I'm going to vote, what am I voting for? Like, who am I putting in there? That's really starting to get to bother me. I can't wrap my head around marking conservative provincially or federally right now. And I live in Alberta. I cannot wrap my head around the idea. And I've gone back and forth. I had one person on our podcast say, well, then you got to get in on the ground level and you have to start voting for the people that people vote for and become a member of these parties. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe that person has a really good point. Maybe I need to get into the Conservative Party and then start really investigating who's running. And then I went and took a look at who's running in the Conservative Party this time around, and I'm bothered by all of them.
They're all douchebags.
And I'm like, holy crap.
Let me just say this really quickly. I just found this statistic out. You're talking about people that are running within a party, or primaries as they call them in the US. Do you know that only 10% of the voters vote for primaries? And guess who they are? They're the ones that want the extremists in.
Yeah.
So you hit the nail on the head with activism and all that, but who has time for that? That's the conundrum. I get it.
Well, okay. So, and then we also had another guest on, what's his name? Fawcett from Calgary, the writer.
Max Fawcett, National Observer. He's awesome. Yeah.
Max, I remember asking him, I said, Max, you got to explain to me, because he was, making some very strong statements and very smart statements about politics. I said, I can't wrap my head around the fact that no one goes after this huge chunk in the middle. And he says to me, he goes, have you ever donated to a political party? And I went, no. And he goes, that's why, because they're going after the crazies that give money. And then you start asking your friends and family and people that donate to political parties, and it's always the craziest fucking person in your family or friends group that donates. And they're always the one with the most extreme views. And that's where our politics has gone. So this whole thing in the middle that I'm sitting in, that Dean's sitting in, that you're probably sitting in, Spenny, we have actually created this. We're part of the problem. I mean, yes, we can blame the Russian bots and the divisiveness and all this shit, what's happening in the States, but we are actually causing the extremism in this country from our lack of involvement in politics, because Pierre Polyev, or whatever the hell you say, however you say his name.
You nailed it.
He doesn't give a shit what I think on social media, on my radio show, on this fucking podcast, because he knows I'm never going to give him any fucking money. So what is he doing? He's standing up and saying the things he's saying and getting away with it because he is going after the extremist vote that is going to put him in power. And that's all he gives two flying shits about. Right. Now, I was in BC recently and I was traveling around.
With his wife, I got to tell alone, in the car. Yeah.
Camping.
For 2 weeks.
I had lots of time to think, Spenny.
Lots of time.
And this is going to surprise a lot of people. I am wildly concerned about what we're doing to the planet. Like, I'm terrified. We had a conversation quickly before we jumped on air, and we were talking about what we're leaving behind. And I think we have fucked ourselves. And I feel like the only way out.
Oh, no. He froze. The only way out. Yeah.
He froze. Oh,
honestly, I swear to God.
Oh, you're back. You froze. You froze. You said the only way out, and then you froze, and we were riveted.
Yeah.
The only way out, I think, is extremism. I think we have to start looking at what we've created and what we've done from a perspective of how can this change and how can we get back on track? And I honestly, I swear to God, I'm going to start looking into the Green Party. And again, I don't know if that's the best idea politically, but tell me if anybody else that's a front runner in any political situation in this country is going to do a better job for the fact that we're burning and flooding our entire fucking planet right now.
Have you watched what's going on in the UK today? Yeah. Did you see the wildfires literally burning downtown London? Yeah. Same thing with like France. Paris is on fire. Like it's
Portugal,
44
the whole fucking
44
the
degrees.
Whole country's on fire.
Half of British Columbia burned down last summer. Like Lytton, BC,
and you see it
53 degrees. I mean, it's like, and I've been like that too. And dude, there's this article that happened this week, and I want to get to Spenny's. So there we go again. I want to get to Spenny's conversation that he wanted to have about the media and their failings. But I mean, it's not lost on me because we haven't been talking about these things to the point where, and I wrote a piece about it this week because some news came this week that we have no plankton left.
I was going to say you tweeted that and nobody commented on it.
Not one. Bad news. Research says plankton has disappeared from the Earth's oceans and will all be dead in 25 years. I don't print alarmist shit. Like, I don't like printing stuff like this. But I read the article, and it was fascinating. Research team revealed plankton, tiny organisms, sustain life in our sea has all but been wiped out. Environmental catastrophes unfolding. Basically, in the Sunday Post, a bunch of scientists got together, and there's like, dude, this is a catastrophic loss of life in our oceans. Like,
can I make a suggestion, Dean? Don't put a SpongeBob character as the picture for the that doesn't help the situation.
Yeah, they didn't take it that seriously. But it, like plankton, if you understand how the marine biology works, plankton is like the base food life for everything in marine biology, like absolutely everything. Plankton gets eaten by zooplankton. That's phytoplankton. It gets eaten by zooplankton and fish larvae, and then crustaceans eat those. And then the rest of the predators eat all the fish, and that's how the world works. That's how the ocean works. There's no plankton left. Like 90% of the Earth's plankton have been wiped out because we've just been throwing shit in the ocean. Go, fuck, we'll get that later. That's someone else's toilet.
When I read that on your post, I actually started researching on Google if that is actual research. And there was nothing about that kind of number. Like it was, so I would like to check. Here's my thing with this. First of all, I want to say to Lachlan, I have never had a problem with conservatism, ever. I used to be one. I used to really think that way. I have a problem with a very specific group of people, and we all know who they are and what they are. Mm-hmm. And so you should, I love that you said that. I don't know.
Albertans?
Yeah. I bet, maybe. I got a tour there, so I got to be careful. But look at as far as I'm a mitigation guy. It might be that we've done some permanent damage to the planet. I liken it to the Cold War when it was going to be if there's a nuclear war, everybody's going to die. I just don't think life works that way. So I think to go Green Party is. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not an expert, believe me, not even close. But to me, it seems like, okay, well, we've got to take responsibility for what we've done, but we've got to balance that with some kind of model where, there's business that can happen. And yes, going clean energy is probably the way to go. The speed at which we go, that's a matter for, for practical life. Like I
used to think that way, Spenny. I did. But I'm at a point now where I'm thinking there's so much corruption at that level of government that you're talking about. I always thought, you know what? Listen, if we put somebody in
brilliantly, then we have to organize. I mean, this is what Noam Chomsky said, and he's obviously at the left end of the spectrum.
A little bit.
There's no way around it. We can't just do what we're doing, and we have to encourage people and start to organize. I guess I thought that was a great answer you gave.
The only other thing that I wanted to make sure that I add, and I'll try to be quick here because I want to get to other questions here, but I think the bigger question now is who's voting and who's not voting, right? And I have met too many people, and this is bothering me, and I don't know how to combat this in sort of a, over beers conversation, but a lot of people that live in the middle are saying, fuck it, and they're not voting. I give up. This is all bullshit. And that I can't do that. I have way too much pride in the country that we live in and what we have here to not vote. I can't wrap my head around just giving up. But I'm trying to find another alternative, right?
About 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, you and I had a very specific conversation on this podcast, and I don't know if you've felt this way, Spenny, but we have. I have. It's like throw your hands up and go, fuck it. Why bother? Like, why bother? If Trudeau's as crooked as we know the Liberal Party is, I mean, these are just power centers. That's really what it came down to for me, right? These are power centers that want to drive their cultural bullshit, and they've got their relationships they got to serve, which is where it touches, media, which I want to get into. But it was like overbearing. Like there's one point, I don't know if you were like this, Loch, where I was at a loss for words when it came to the general election, federal election, and the provincial election, which we just had, where it's like, oh my God, there is clearly a proper choice here to make, and no one is making it. Everybody makes those choices where their best interests, money, jobs, economy are concerned, right? What's in it for me? And the really sad part for me about the political system and institutions in this country is that the selfishness with which anti-vaxxers dealt with not getting vaccinated for the general purposes of making our country a safer place to live, not killing as many old people and infirm people and marginalized people, is that like only 16% of this country said, no, fuck you. I'm more interested in me than you, right? I see that reflected in one party in this country and one party in the United States. It's the GOP in the United States, and it's the Conservative Party in this country, and it's provincial, right? So I see two things. I see a public that's very apathetic, but politics has changed so much, Spenny, and I'd love your thoughts on this. These aren't the conservatives that we used to vote for, right?
No.
These are cultural conservatives. These are not fiscal conservatives. These are people who truly believe that their religion can dictate how 80% of this country, which wouldn't vote conservative, if indeed was tied to the same religious dogma that these people, Roe v. Wade, all the bullshit, all the bullshit, the people that you see that show up to these convoys with these signs that says, fuck the vaccine, Jesus is my vaccine, like that kind of stuff. It's the same thing. And they never say that part out loud. So it's almost like we've got this like costume of conservatives, which are not the conservatives we used to vote for. And so it's hard to take that belief system when you're our age, 40s, I think Loch's around 70. It's like you take that idea. He's like 55 or something. It's 6. You take that idea and you're like, no, this is not the same. Like, we're not criticizing a political party. We're criticizing a legitimate theocratic movement. That's what the conservatives.
That's the shift.
Is it possible that, like the monkey with the shiny object, that they're so repugnant in certain ways that we're just focused on them when we should be doing what Lachlan said, the hard work of figuring this shit out. But then who's going to do it, and how are they going to do it? That's Isn't that a question for the ages? I mean, I don't know.
Who's going to do what? Like, who's going to figure out who they should?
The center people that are somewhat, honest and not the religious dogmatic people, and aren't into wedge issue this and that and all the things. And I agree with Lachlan. I think Canada's fucking amazing. And I don't know. It's easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, we need to organize. We need to get, but it never goes anywhere. So what do you do? I'm not saying it can't go anywhere.
You have to keep voting. You have to keep trying.
We've grown up in it. My age. I never had to worry about shit like this, right? Because there wasn't this Trumperism. There wasn't this this cult thing that's happening.
How would you describe the difference, Spenny? How would you describe the difference in politics 25 years ago when we were young and kind of could vote?
I was entertained by it and I didn't care about it. And I never, the thought of, it was just an abstract thing as far as, being active. I read a lot of Noam Chomsky and he said it always starts on the streets and the civil rights movement, but I kind of post-date the civil rights movement. So this is the first time. And I think everybody in this podcast is saying the same thing between the environment and this movement that's happening that we disagree with, but that's probably how history works, right?
And the funny,
you gotta either do something or you do nothing. And if you do nothing, then the guys you don't like might actually beat you because they're, like the abortion's a great example. Mm-hmm. They put their head down and they never stopped for 50 years or however long it was. And
the issue too, Spenny, that we're dealing with is that you look at it and you go, how can that be happening? How can they actually be thinking that this is a good idea for the rest of the country? And you're as a conservative,
that's all that matters. They can, and they did.
They can, and they're laughing at us because the strategy of the division and getting people in the middle to disconnect from the whole process because of how upset they are, all that does is solidify their chances of winning in the next election. The more people in the middle that go, oh, fuck this, I'm done, that are off for PP.
I used to argue all the time about, these conservatives, was my line for like the last couple of years. The Trumpism, it's really a white privilege thing that their backs to the wall. They're getting desperate. The demographics is on our side. But then, like 2-3 days ago, I watch a report, and the Mexicans in the States are starting to vote Republican. So the demographics, so you have to move with the times. You cannot. You have to actually. It's like science. You have to see what's happening on the ground and react to it. You can't just, like that was to me. That's, oh my God. There's my whole argument. If that happens, we're screwed, right? Like,
Spenny, interesting you brought that up. I got into it with Ryan Linz on this podcast a couple of months back when we were having a conversation, and he was using this math because he's a political guy and was involved in politics previous to whatever he's doing now and podcast and in it. And when you're in it, you're really in it, right? And he was suggesting that there was some sort of political math. And I'm like, dude, have you not been paying attention? That fucking math has been thrown out with the baby in the bathwater. It's all gone.
That's what
we're fucked. If you honestly think that there's some hope in some math that you're doing that the liberals are going to win again, I don't know what you're looking at. Like, look what's been happening. I mean, we're having less and less people voting. More and more extreme candidates are like down in the States. Have you seen all the to your
Ronnie
point?
Jackson?
Yeah. Do you see the Ronnie Jackson video where this is the Obama's former personal physician at the White House, Ronnie Jackson, had a drinking problem.
That's who he is. I thought
that's right. Yeah, it was, and the dude is like so brainwashed, so cooked upstairs. He's read so much QAnon shit. He's like super hyper religious. There's a video of him because he's running for governor or something in Texas. He's running for office in Texas with 2 AR-15s, and he's like, if Joe Biden thinks he's coming to take my guns, he can fuck himself or something like that, or I can fuck him, or just
come get him.
Yeah, come get him. My 2A rights or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. And it's like not just him. There are like hundreds of people running for office. And Max, to his credit, put out that video the other day. And I'm like, it's like gun fetish is an election strategy in the United States. And I never thought I'd see that. Like, I never thought I'd see someone like literally go, hey, you're going to like me and vote for me because I've got 2 assault weapons that were just used to kill 22 people in a school. So
Donald Trump became president. He's destroying democracy, and he might run again and win.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. But what
it's
does it
insanity.
say? But what does it say? It says that those people don't share values with us. Right. And that's the thing. Like, I go back to it. My assumption is there's groups of people that want the world to be a better place. Case in point, media. Right. You would think, as you asked, people in media in this country would have represented the convoy properly. Like the convoy that ripped through Ottawa for almost a fucking month, which brought the nation's capital to a standstill. Right. And you would think that would. Every news outlet in this country called them freedom fighters for 3 weeks. Global just put out an article. I don't know if you guys saw this. Russia Today covered Freedom Convoy protests more than any other foreign outlet. 4.5 times the amount of disinformation than anybody else. RT covered Canada's so-called Freedom Forum. This is from Global. Protests more closely than any other international outlet, according to new research. Russian state-controlled television network used keywords associated with the convoy protest during more than 4.5 hours of broadcast between January. This is collective. 4.5 hours of January 13th, February 12th, dwarfing the rate of other international outlets' coverage. RT also chose to frame the protest. This is interesting in a specific way. The guy who researched it sifted through it, and he found that they referred to it as a trucker protest rather than referring as a trucker protest, trucker convoy. RT most often used convoy's own terminology, calling it a freedom convoy. They used the term 1,032 times, 5 times more than the next most used term, convoy protest. Fox News, of course, represented it as a freedom contest as well. But as did, which I was shocked about during the convoy. We talked about this several times, Loch, right?
Yeah.
CBC, CTV, Global, who just decided to put out, like, we were talking about that 4 months ago, that not only was this not real, it was absolutely cooked by foreign groups and foreign governments. Read this. Convoy protests earlier this year, quote, were based on disinformation from unscientific claims about vaccines to their belief they could demand the government resign en masse. Quote, all of those things are notions that Russia wants to try to promote just because that dissension everywhere pulls away from the dissension in Russia and puts them in a stronger position. So I know I'm bagging on Russia, but where that comes, and it kind of answers your question about the irresponsibility of the media in this country, that is the first article that I've read about it. We've been talking about that for 4 months. We are not a news outlet. We are not journalists. We are not fucking reporters. We're people that had access to the same information, but for whatever reason, every single news outlet in this country chose to treat that for clicks, for narratives, for relationships in the government. They chose to treat it like a legitimate movement. And the dereliction, the supreme dereliction of mainstream media in this country for money, for political opportunity, for advantageous leveraged growth for themselves was disgusting. Like fucking disgusting.
And then you have your Bill Maher and your Russell Brand and a bunch of them calling it a peaceful protest. I don't think it would be, if it was an actual peaceful protest and they weren't stopping bridges and causing problems and noise and God knows what else and hurting businesses, I wouldn't have given a shit.
Half the population in the States thinks that the January 6th was peaceful. So yeah, you got an issue there.
I think I said this to you before. My problem with January 6th is, okay, give them misdemeanor charges. The ones who are on camera that are really destructive, put them in jail for a little bit. Where is the accountability for the Trump administration? And Steve
Bannon, working on that.
Well, I know. I'm so afraid that it's not going to happen. I'm so afraid. I mean, he's talking about running for president again. What more proof do they need? This guy Garland, like what? I don't know. To me, they're like buying time. Oh, he's working on it. He's playing 3-dimensional chess. Just wait, Spenny. and then Trump will be president again. Like, I don't know.
Bill Cosby went for coffee at Starbucks this morning. The legal system in the States is fucked.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't make any sense.
We deserve everything.
But dude, what I hear from Spenny, right, is like, it's funny because we haven't talked about this for a few months, which is great because I was so fucking tired of it. But what I hear from Spenny, which I think is interesting, it's like there is a common truth, right? Like a common truth that works for everybody, which is the truth, right? Which is the law. We have watched the law not get applied. We have watched the truth be regarded as a lie, right? And it's legitimate. Like, how do you square that? Like, and that's the confusion I think that goes on in all the people that live in the alt middle, as I like to call it, like the 80-90% of us that sit here and go, wait a second. When I was a kid, people got arrested for that all the fucking time, right? When I was a kid, someone lied and got caught. They were like, you got me. You got me.
We were joking about that the other day about the number of times that people like threaten to kill people on social media. And they get blocked. They get blocked for a week on Facebook. Like, I mean, can you even imagine, like 25 years ago, if somebody in the neighborhood had put a sign up on his door saying, I want to kill the leader of the country, they would have arrested that dick. Now it's such common practice that they don't know what to do with it. So, well, you're not allowed on Facebook for a month, right? Like,
when I just said the president of the United States is still lying about an election, and he's going to be able to run again, and there's so much evidence that this was a multi-pronged with the fake electors, all of it. It's like, why even bother caring? I mean, and I know that's probably what Putin wants, but like it couldn't be. I mean, literally, we know we're not going to have a taped conversation of Trump, saying, let's do this, do that, do this. He doesn't operate that way. And so it's all there. And it's like, wow.
You're in disbelief that there's no accountability to fact, right?
Well, like democracy is everything. Believing in that your vote, actually, it's not going to be perfect, but by and large, your vote matters. And there's a smooth succession of power. Like even Gore and Bush was it was very tough, but he's conceded. This motherfucker won't concede. And he told these people to go to this place. We have video of it.
I know.
His whole career. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Have you read about Trump, what he did before he was ever into politics, how he would use the Justice Department or suing to bully people?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if that's allowed to happen, then what are we even talking about?
I just can't believe that my pillow guy was wrong.
Yeah, me neither. It's hard to believe, right? It's hard to believe. How much time? You said you had to go at 5?
Yeah, I do. I kind of do. And you have to invite me back with Lachlan. And
I want to. Yeah, dude. I wanted to get into. Yeah, I know you got so many questions, and I want to do. Do you want to? Like, I wanted to talk about the drugs that you've used in your life, and I wanted to talk
next
about.
Time. Because that's a long conversation. No, I'm not. Honestly, I've definitely done drugs, and I don't like talking about it because that's just who I am. But
Spenny, can I say this before we let you go?
Yeah.
The one thing, because you were reintroduced into my life based on this podcast, and I was away on vacation when you showed up, and then I ended up watching one on my phone one day, and the first thought I had was, wow, he looks so much healthier. Because back in the day when I used to watch your show, I used to always think that you looked like you were on the verge of a medical emergency.
That sounds like Kenny. You might be confusing us. Honestly, that's not a joke.
Kenny's
got the raccoon eyes.
Yeah. Well, Kenny didn't look healthy either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
would lock. Neither of you guys look
way
specifically healthy. Yeah. But you do now.
Aside from the boob sweat, you look great, Spenny.
Well,
you look awesome.
Dude, I got a picture of you and Kenny here, as a matter of fact.
There we go. Dean.
Yeah, you look perfectly healthy there.
Yeah, you look great.
Now, let me leave you on this note. What am I doing, Dean?
Blowing a pickle?
A cucumber.
That's impressive.
That's what I'm doing. You can call it whatever you want. You can. My enemies can say I'm gay and be homophobic. I'm not saying you're like that.
No.
And it's a sensation that I'm sucking a cucumber. I never got it. Kenny, he made me suck off a dummy, a ventriloquist dummy with a fake dildo. It meant nothing to me. It was plastic. What do I care? And people are still talking about it, and I make money off of it. Sure, okay. If it was a real penis, that would be something to talk about.
I just like the picture, dude. I've got no commentary. I don't think this is you got paid well for this for a long period of time. I got nothing but respect.
Who has the money? My ex-wife and lawyers. That's the tragedy. And look at my triple chin. See, I look at that and people see me sucking a penis. I just see the quadruple chin, the weak Jewish chin thing.
How far did you go on that cuke? Did you
get it? Did you get it past the gag reflex or no?
Yeah.
Probably not. I take them because I'm so old. I take tons of vitamins and I gag every morning, like just with the vitamins.
What is that? Why Dean does that too? He's always puking up his vitamins.
And it
I've never done that.
That kind of stuff attracts the homophobic people. And Kenny's not homophobic at all.
No. That was what I loved about you guys. Is that like the episode where you were getting teabagged by those guys? Like, I remember thinking to myself, these guys are the most secure dudes I've ever seen in my life, which is what made the comedy so great, right? It still does. Like that episode, it was brilliant.
When you brought this up, your obsession with teabagging is scaring me, Dean. Teabagging should be testicles in the mouth and scrotum in the mouth. We did it on our forehead. That's pretty easy pickings.
Yeah, you were getting
I remember that's still
teabags. Like you were getting repeated dunkings by those guys. It
was
like
not in my mouth.
No, but on the forehead, right? I was always under the impression teabagging was a forehead. I don't care. I thought it was great comedy. I laughed my ass off. I remember looking at my friend. We were watching it drunk one night at his house when we got back from like a club and we were having a couple slices of pizza and he turns on Kenny versus Spenny and I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. These guys had a challenge and the loser had to get teabagged and you both ended up getting teabagged. But then my friend was like, same conversation. He's like, pretty sure that's not teabagging. I think teabagging's in the mouth. And I'm like, I think it's the forehead.
Spenny, it's teabagging. If balls enter anywhere near your face, that's teabagging.
Lachlan, I see. You can tell he's from.
I'm not homophobic. I don't care that you did it, and I'm not going to sign up for it. But that's teabagging,
dude. I give prostate exams at live shows. Hundreds of them I've done. With the rubber glove, I stick my finger up a guy's ass. The crowd goes crazy. I don't care. What do I care? Why I get paid all this money? I don't have to work for a living. This is I'll finger a horse, whatever you want me to finger. Just don't make me put on a suit and a tie and go to fucking work like a normal person.
Spenny, you're the best. Follow him on Twitter at.
We got to have Spenny back. We have to.
Dude, you got to come back tomorrow. You got to come back tomorrow and finish the rest of those questions, and we'll get on with the real show. Can you do that tomorrow? Do you have more time?
Tomorrow, let me look at my schedule, which doesn't exist, and then we'll talk.
I love it when guys say that. I remember when I was like, let me check my schedule, and it was just a thing I would say to sound busy all the time. When I wasn't busy, I'm like, let me check my schedule. I'd hang up the phone and go.
I'm not a good douchebag. I'm the worst douchebag because I'll always tell the truth. I'll lie and then immediately tell the truth. All right, bye, guys.
See you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for
Spenny, follow him at Spenny on Twitter. He is such a good person.
I enjoy him.
He's a really good human being.
The next time we have him on, you got to remember this, and this is gonna bother you based on how you're wired.
It's not gonna bother me.
Yeah, it might. You haven't heard what I'm going to say.
All right.
You got to go live as soon as he comes on. Because we had a 10 or 15-minute conversation before we went live that should have been the podcast.
That was the podcast. We did the same thing for like 58 minutes.
No, there was a bunch of stuff in the beginning that we didn't touch on.
What did refresh my memory?
You should have hit live. No, we're not.
Well, we couldn't because, dude, we couldn't.
We're not going to live in regret.
I'll tell you what happened. This is what happened. We started to have a conversation. I don't know if you noticed. I barely talked for 58 minutes. It was the Lachlan, like, let me ask you a question for 2 seconds. That goes for like 13 minutes. You asked.
I've had a lot of coffee today.
Yes, 13-minute questions. And so we got to 2. He wanted to do Q&A with us. Let me just fucking tear that curtain down right now. Spenny wanted to do Q&A with us where you could ask him all kinds of questions. I'm like, are you good talking about drug use? He's like, no problem. Tell you all the drugs. Every drug I've ever hooped, eaten, smoked, everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you ever try PCP? He goes, oh, yeah, I snorted it. And I'm like, no way. That's unbelievable. And I was excited to get to that. Couldn't get to it because you went off about voter apathy, and then you started asking questions, and I loved it. It was great content. But my point is this: is that I thought we got everything out of them, and we didn't because of you. Basically, it's your fault.
I screwed up. I admit it. I'll own it. I'll own it.
I feel like you needed to get some of that out, though.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like I'm dead serious, man. That was a disturbing trip into BC. I was very bothered. I'm very bothered with a lot of the news right now, with what we're dealing with. Man, we're destroying this planet, and I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not this Greenpeace like protest. I've never been that guy. I'm thinking I need to start trying to be that guy.
You want to feel better about yourself?
It's not that. I want to feel good about the vote. I want to feel good about who I tick on a ballot.
Maybe we should start a thing. Like Spenny was talking about organizing. You were talking about organizing. I don't disagree. Maybe we start a fucking national movement where the really only option is to vote for people that never had a chance, right? And the people who give a shit about the environment. And I know that you're getting a little older. I think you're tipping the scales at 52. Are you 52 now?
I turned 52 this year. I was born in 1970.
So what happens is your interest in taking care of yourself and the world around you changes when you get a little older. So you don't have to be embarrassed to say, I voted conservative and now I'm voting for the Green Party in and amongst some of your, I don't know, hoogish friends, right? I know what you're going to get. We all know what you're going to get when you're like, I can't vote for any one of these three parties. Can't. Because this is kind of the only way we're going to be able to control this country is if we all vote for the right people that have great character, right? Parties that have character, parties that have values. We don't have any of those. Mm-hmm. The liberals
That's where we're at.
And they do. Yeah, totally. Conservatives don't give a fuck about them anymore.
No, they don't care.
And the NDP, yeah, sure. Whatever. But I don't disagree with you. I think we need to give the Green Party a little leg up. I think we need to go to the Green Party and say to the national leader, whoever it is, and each provincial leader, me neither, and say, okay, let's ramp this up. How do we do this? What do you need from us? How do we get a whole bunch of people in the middle together to go, no. We're voting over there this year or this in this quarter. We're going to vote for these people because they're the only people that are actually talking about the things that matter to you. Like, you love the environment, right? You go through BC, you see the beauty, you see the mountains, you see the garbage in the ditch, and we see wildfires burning. Like, Spain is on fire. London, England, on fire. England is 50 degrees today.
Dude, we go back and forth from one year to the next. We're either flooding or we're on fire.
Yeah.
Europe's on fire this year. Next year, they'll be flooding. It's just getting worse, right? And you know what? Listen, I don't want to be that guy that sits here. I'm not the Al fucking Gore. I'm just not. Like, I drank 7 beer last night, okay? And I watched The Boys. I honestly try to do my part. I recycle, but I'm just a dude. And I'm not this guy that's going to go hike the fucking, some trail or something. I'm not that guy. I can't figure out where the hell I can't not vote. And I can't figure out what to put down on the next ballot because I'm so disgusted by all of it. And I'm thinking, and I had a moment when we were driving through north of Kamloops and I'm looking around me going, holy shit, this road was on fire last year. People could not drive on this road because both sides of the valley were on fire. My dad, I'm sitting there having a conversation with him. He said, yeah, I sat on this deck last summer, and sat there and drank my scotch and watched the hills burn. He goes, I'm thinking of getting an electric car. And if you know my dad, he drives a bike and drives a truck. He is not a guy that goes and buys an electric vehicle. He's just not.
Yeah, but there's change, right? Like, that's a good conversation to have. And you're watching, I think, people like I said this in this post that I did this week in terms of plankton, SeaWorld, the shit that we're seeing, the heat, the extreme heat advisories, these countries are on fire. The way we look, I've ignored it. Like, dude, you remember when people used to come into our school and they'd be like, you got to watch out by 2020, 2030. And you're like, that's 50 years from now. That's 40 years from now. That's 30 years from now. You're like, no big deal. It's going to happen. Dude, the temperature is rising so fast in this country because of in this world, because of what we have done. And I'm not an eco warrior. Like sometimes if I've got a couple extra chicken bones and I don't feel like opening up the compost, I'll put them in the recycling. Like sometimes I still drive a car chock full of gas. Still do. Yeah. Like I am not, and I'm part of the problem, but I never felt like I was part of the problem. I always felt like it was someone else's problem. It's here now. Like we're seeing it now in this country, around the world. And it is because of people like the GOP, people like conservatives, people in politics that don't give a fuck and tell everybody that votes for them not to give a fuck too, and that you're just being brainwashed. It doesn't matter. It is on us. It is here. We're seeing legitimate climate change happen as I'm sitting here. I'm watching a video of East London. I'm watching it on my screen in the corner. East London, houses, huge fire. Parks decimated. Same thing with France. Literally Spain. If you go to Twitter and you type in Spain fires, you're going to see Catalonia on fire, Madrid on fire, Greece. I talked to a buddy of mine in Greece. His name's Gus, one of the greatest guys on the planet. I'm like, how you doing? Are you in Mykonos? No, I'm in Crete. It's the best. Like, how hot is it? He goes, we haven't been outside for 4 days. I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah. And it's not even that bad here. And what we saw in Lytton, Lytton in British Columbia, which is not even fucking there anymore, and it's on fire again, right? And I hate being that guy. Like I fucking would see these like David Suzuki, right? Yeah, David Suzuki. See what
so like annoying.
Yeah, he's so annoying. The guy's right about fucking everything so far. For 40 years, he's been right about everything. Now all of a sudden, guys like you that have 7 beers and watch The Boys, by the way, one of the best shows on television.
So good.
Incredible.
Don't ruin it. I got like 15, 20 minutes left in the ending.
In the end of the last episode?
The last episode. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, dude. It's like unbelievable. The other thing you got to do is watch Better Call Saul. Don't tell me a word about the latest episode. It's a Kim Wexler episode. I don't want to talk about it. Don't say a word.
Okay.
Anyway, so you're there watching The Boys. You're having your 7 beers. You live in oil country. You're a conscious, conservative-leaning human being, right? You, of all people, are starting to go, I'm petrified. I'm seeing it. Like I'm feeling it. And that's when shit changes, is when hardos like you and me, who've never been concerned about the environment, who used to get these handouts in like 6th grade saying, hey, recycle, don't, and you're like, yeah, fuck you, and you throw it out, or you don't even care because you think, not in my lifetime, right?
I've never been that guy. I've always recycled. I've always tried to do my part, but I've always been the guy just on the outside looking in, like you said, that didn't feel too bad about the chicken bones ending up in the recycling, because I know that half of this shit just ends up going to the fucking dump anyway. Like the thing is, there's so much hypocrisy, and they're using the environment. The Liberal Party in this country should be on trial for the carbon tax decision, because all that is just using our guilt about what's happening in the environment to create another tax. And when you question the carbon tax on any level, if we had a liberal on here, they'd be going, oh my God, what are you talking about? The fucking carbon tax, all it is a way to put more money in the fucking coffers. That's all it is. Because they're still giving breaks to all big business. The only way that the fact that we're even remotely recycling it, and our cities drive it to the fucking dump, is a complete nightmare. I don't even want to get into that conversation.
But that's happening because of all the recycling you do in your life, and you're like, oh, they're just taking it to the same spot. That sucks.
I think it's less than 30% of what we actually put in those fucking bins on the side of the road every day ends up in any form of recycling program in this country. Yeah. It's fucking embarrassing. And it's the same thing with the carbon tax. They tell us that we got to do it. We got to start doing the carbon. Nobody really knows. We got to bring our metric tonnage down. Fuck bullshit. All you're doing is just fucking taxing us for the things we're going to do anyway. And all you're doing is taking that money and just doing business that you normally would do anyway. You're actually not helping out the environment. That's why I'm at a point. Like, I'm at a point right now where I'm like, all right, just put some extreme fucking lunatics in that all they're going to do is just do green. That's it. Like that's where I'm at, because I can't wrap my head around voting Liberal. I can't wrap my head around voting Conservative. NDP, that's another conversation. I can't do it, though. That's childhood trauma. My stepfather was NDP. So, listen, like, I am not that guy. I am not that guy, but I think more guys like me and like Dean need to get to that point that go, okay, I'm done.
Are you becoming that guy? There's the question. Like, there's a couple things happening here.
I am driving.
I hate to be serious for a second, because I'm dying to get to this video of a bouncer that literally slapped out some twink trying to dance with him. Dying to get to it for some humor.
Okay.
But let me ask you this question. Are you becoming a different person because of this? And can you embrace, because everything you're saying about the evolution of you and your views, belief system, perspective sounds awesome. Like, if that's the end result of this, is that guys like you and I are going, hang on a second, hang on, for everyone else, which is what Spenny was talking about, right? We got to fight this stuff together. And it's not like we're all gladiators from eco warriors and political. I don't give a fuck about political parties. I care about the world we live in, the country we live in, and servicing the greater good. Right? Being of good character and supporting other people of good character to be in leadership positions, right? What you're talking about is a leadership position. You're talking about how can we do something together where guys like you and I and our belief systems, they're evolving, they're changing. You and I have lots of conversations about this. And again, I hate to be serious because I've got this killer video of this bouncer slapping out this kid, and it's beautiful. But is there room and an opportunity for guys like us to go, no, we don't feel the same way we used to. We're not scavengers. We're not here to take. We're here to give, right? Because that's the difference. The takers make this world what it is. The takers create chaos. The takers don't give a fuck about the environment. The takers want to make the world around them a worse place at their convenience. This is the movement. This is theocracy. This is Pierre Poilievre. These are conservatives. These are anti-eco people. These are people who don't give a fuck about you or the citizenry in this country or the republic or servicing it. These are legitimate takers. And we don't have enough givers. But what you're talking about is you're going, hang on, like, it's an awakening for you, is it not? It has been for me over the past 2-3 years. If I could tell you one thing the pandemic has given me that I am super grateful for, is that I truly do believe for the first time in my life, it's way more important to contribute to the greater good in a positive way than to get what I want or to take from it. Do you understand that? And I think what you're saying is the same thing. It's just in different words. And you're having these realizations. Like, I can't imagine driving through Kamloops going, holy fuck, the beauty on either side of me was on fire. You couldn't drive here last year. That is unknown to us in this country. 52 degrees is unknown to Canadians, but it's been happening for the past couple of years. And then you draw back to that thing. It's like, what have I done? Where am I going right? And until people like you and I can find other people like you and I who've had a change of heart or want to contribute to the greater good in the middle, in the center, where we're calling out all the bad actors, we're taking those low roads and sewering them, and then we're empowering people as a community, groups as a community, who truly want this country to be a fucking great place, which it is. I agree with you. I love this country. I love Canada. For every fucking piece of shit out there that calls this country communist, Joe Rogan, piece of shit, anybody out there, if you're Canadian and you call this country communist, let me remind you, Rat King was let out of jail yesterday. Communists don't get let out of jail. Communists don't make bail. In commie countries, you go to jail for fucking ever. And we're free enough to spread hate all around this fucking country.
And
that is not allowed.
Back out doing it again.
And there he is. He's back. But that my point is this: is that This country is a fucking great country, and how it's being misrepresented in the media, how it's been represented by Canadians, it's being misrepresented by takers, not givers. It's being absolutely sewered by people who want for themselves. They don't want to give, right? That's why we're here. That's why I hate them, because I don't identify with that anymore. And this may be that time in your life, and I know it is for me, where you go, fuck, I guess I'm changing. I guess my perspective is changing, because I'll tell you what, that kind of selfishness that we see in the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre's fear-based politics, that kind of selfishness is not sustainable, and it will get crushed, and we will crush it. But my God, is it frustrating to people like you and me?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we have a little bit of balance on this podcast today. And I appreciate the fact that you're propping me up as somebody that might be, at a crossroads and
big David changing. Suzuki guy.
I will say this. I'm not going David Suzuki on us here. I will say this, that also, like a lot of things occupied my mind when I was away for 2 weeks. I had lots of time to think, and it was good. It was good 2 weeks to be away. And I enjoyed my time off. But I also, on top of coming to the realization that I might actually end up voting Green in the next election, I also spent a great deal of time thinking about the possibility of bringing back an old contest I used to do in bars called Musical Dildos, where we would put 5 or 6 dildos on a bar table, start music, and have 5 of the people walking around with 4 dildos, or 6 people with 5 dildos. Yeah. And we also lubed them up. And then the person that didn't get a dildo, when the music stopped, got out. Then we remove a dildo. You see how it works?
I got it. Yeah.
And I'm thinking we're ready to bring back musical dildos. I just need to find the right bar and the right establishment to do it.
Enough dildos.
Well, listen, you can always find a dildo.
Dude, my buddy parked his car at Walmart the other day. Someone left a dildo on his windshield. He's like, "What the fuck is a dildo?" I know. And I'm like, "Did you park super close to a guy's car?" He's like, "No, dude, I parked like five spots away from anybody else." And I'm like, "What is a dildo?" And he's like, "There's a huge purple dildo, but this dildo has nuts." I didn't even know, it's like nuts, and the whole thing was ribbed.
Did it have a suction cup on the bottom of it? Because sometimes you can prop them up.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too that I regret, like when I left the Bear, because I was at the Bear for 6 years, I did afternoon drive with Jimmy, and then we moved the locker room over to Cruise. I forgot to bring the dildos with me, and I left them in a big Tupperware container there, and I was like regretting it because once you get walked out, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't fired. I did quit, but I was walked out after a couple of weeks of making an announcement that I was leaving. I was like, you're at the door. You can't go, "Can I go back upstairs and get my Tupperware bucket of dildos?" Because I had like 10 of them. And then about 2-3 months later, my buddy Yukon from the Bear called me and said, "Your dildo's all melted. It's gross." Apparently, you can't just leave them sitting like in a pile. Like you have to maintain dildos.
Yeah,
I did not know this.
You can't allow your dildos to touch. I think we've actually talked about this.
That's why that's what happened. I had them all in just one big blue Tupperware container.
All the chemicals in the plastic react with each other, and they all melt or something. That's
I also think because we had lube on them, we put lube on them so it made it harder to grab during musical dildos, and they would like slip out.
Go flying across the room.
So I think the lube added to it. You're also not supposed to wash your dildos in the dishwasher. There is a lot of things I know about dildos.
Dildo etiquette.
People are probably questioning whether or not I actually have a dildo of my own. I do not own a dildo. I'm not into that, but I do know a lot more about dildos than I thought I did.
You do more about dildos than I do. I'll tell you that. Like and you enjoy talking about them far more than I do, but I'm shocked at how much dildos still come up in conversation. Like, I had no idea. My buddy calls me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Good." He goes, "Check out this picture." She's like, "Fuck, I should have put it up." Like, "Yeah, what is it?" Literally, massive purple dildo. And I'm like, "Is there a sex shop nearby?" He's like, "No, someone just put this on my car." But you do know a lot more about dildos than I do. Like, way more.
I'm going to bring this contest back.
You should.
It's not a cheap contest either because dildos are not cheap. They're expensive. Yeah, that's why I was so upset that I left like those 10 at the Bear. There's going to be a bar that's going to let me do musical dildos this fall. Yeah. It's a new bar.
I just want to be there for it. I just want to be there for a group of people just to see the quality of individual who gets super pumped for musical dildos. What kind of guy or girl is that? Where they're like, hey, guys, time for musical dildos. And everybody's like, oh, my God, musical dildos. I love this game. Oh, my God, I can't believe they brought it back. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go do musical dildos. Like, I want to see the quality of individual who gets super pumped for that.
We can't do the other game that we were very popular and known for at the Bear, which was Velcro football. We can't do that game anymore because the AGLC shut us down.
Yeah,
we got into a lot of trouble with you. Because we put Jimmy in a Velcro suit and then put the other side of the Velcro on the footballs and had him run through bars. And we threw footballs at him. Yeah, and if they stuck, you won prizes.
Hey, speaking of little people, I'm dying to get to this video and then I'll let you go.
Okay, let's do this.
Here's the video.
Just play the video.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's this dude, little guy, goes up to a bouncer. He's had a bunch of drinks. Thinks the guy's hot. Like, let's have some fun. I'm going to dance for you. Watch this. This is why drinking is nowhere near as cool as smoking pot. You smoke pot, you're not doing this.
Well, where is this?
Spain. He wants more.
Esto video.
Yeah, he's getting fresh with a bouncer. Like, I don't care how drunk I've been. I have never been drunk enough to go, I'm gonna fuck around with this mountain of an individual like this kid. This guy is so wasted. He's like, why not? Why not have some fun with this enormous bouncer who could crush me?
Everyone knows what's happening. Dude. Everyone knows. He just threw him like 8 feet.
Esto video.
The funny thing about that video, actually, it's not funny.
It is funny.
Is how little concern
nobody
the bystanders have for
none. Look at this chick standing there. She's like,
couldn't care less.
No one is helping this kid out. No. This kid's digging his own grave. One dance move at a time.
The woman, she just turned around, walked away. She goes, I know what's coming. I'm going to leave because I can't watch this.
And this kid's like, let's get groovy. And this bouncer's like, probably going to crush you if you keep this up. And the guy's like, oh yeah, I want to see it. Let me get in tight. Just the guy recording his
neck.
Listen to the guy recording it.
Esto video.
I know how to say good night in Spanish now.
Anyway, there you go. There you go. Thanks for doing this, dude. Really appreciate it.
That was a good one today. I apologize for sidetracking Spenny, and we do need to have him back. I'm very interested in the progression of Spenny, right? Because the Kenny versus Spenny,
that was
that did not show up today.
No.
Right? There was glimpses. There was a couple of moments of it where he got angry at you for calling him Kenny.
That's a mistake. I mean, not perfect.
Because Kenny was always trying to make Spenny angry, right? So there was a couple of elements where you could see why he was so successful because of he's got that anger right there. It's still right underneath
at
the
his
surface.
disposal. Yeah. Yeah, at his disposal. He's like, my name's Spenny, okay? I'm not Kenny. And he's like, I don't know how he takes that poorly. And I just was wrapped up, like I'm going fast, I'm talking quick, so I get his name mixed up. But the funny part is I keep doing it even when we're on the phone. Like I'll call him like, hey, Kenny. He's like, Dean, please. I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry, Spenny, I got your name wrong. Like, I'm not doing it on purpose, but he always talks about how much more successful Kenny has become than him. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's got to hurt too, right? Like when I call you Spenny.
Listen, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I thought you were doing it on purpose. To see if you could make him snap.
I am tomorrow when he comes back. Now I want to watch him lose his fucking mind, because there might not be anything better than a nuclear meltdown from Spencer Rice.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. You got me all excited when you called him. You did it like 3 times.
Did you think I was doing that on purpose? No, fuck, dude.
I thought
wrong because I was motoring through a conversation. I'm like, okay, Kenny. He's like, please. And the last time he was on the show, you were gone. And you could sense, because he works hard. He's still really creative. He does a bunch of work, still does stand-up comedy. He and Kenny still travel around and do stand-up comedy. He's not lying. Like, he's got this bit where he gives someone a prostate exam on stage, and he's done it hundreds of times. And I'm like,
I would pick a better bit.
Well, I wish I had as much money as Kenny, then I wouldn't have to fucking do it. Right. So when I call him Kenny, I'm like, oh, that's really got to suck. Anyway, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Good little laugh. Have a great day, man.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Anytime.
We'll see you tomorrow, man.
You got it. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter is where you can find him. Whew. Under the weather today, so I'm sweating this one out. But I got what everybody got. A little bit. No big deal. Everybody's cold flu season. No big deal. You get through it as you were. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thanks to Spenny for joining us as well. Thanks to Lachlan Cross. Thanks to our friends and sponsor / partner at kivlaw.ca. My guy, Rob, is a lawyer, and he's a really good lawyer, and he serves the greater Toronto area, from Toronto to St. Catharines, Newmarket to Oshawa. Kivlaw defense lawyers, top criminal defense attorneys, St. Catharines criminal defense. You want to get your life back. If you need help in the criminal defense law area, you got nowhere to turn. You need someone to tell you the truth and kind of get you out of the trouble that you're in, or if you've been accused of something you didn't do. He doesn't want you to do time. He doesn't want you to walk through the legal system alone. It's a pain in the ass. Rob's the only guy I trust, and you need to trust him as well. Listen, if you need legal help, give Rob a call, send him an email, robert@kivlaw.ca. Again, robert@kivlaw.ca. He knows his clients need honest answers, and he's honest enough to the point where he'll tell you, hey, listen, this is what you got to do. And if you don't like it, he doesn't care. What he does is fight for your right and every legal right and opportunity to be successful in court, civil litigation, white-collar crime. Anything that has happened to you, around you, or for you, or even if you've made a mistake, make sure you call Rob. Send him an email, robert@kivlaw.ca. Again, deanblundell.com, brought to you by Kivlaw Defense Lawyers. Go to kivlaw.ca for more details. Also, thanks to our friends at Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial making this possible for you and us. If you're looking for a car and you need financing, these guys make it super easy for you. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Go there today. Sign up online. They take care of your financing. Doesn't matter about your credit rating. Then they fill out the forms. Then they do all the crappy legwork when it comes to buying a car. And then they send you the car that you wanted to get and at the price you want to pay. And, of course, all your financing is in hand. You didn't have to pay for it. It's kind of revolutionary that way. All turnkey. Go to easyautofinancial.ca today and check them out. And, of course, Ed at Ed's Fine Imports, edsfineimports.com. Go there today. Order his Gitch online. Massive online clothing store as well. He's got, like, seasonal stuff that's going out. He's got new stuff coming in. He's got 50, 60, 70% off. And if you sign up today at edsfineimports.com, give him your email address, 15% off your total purchase. And daily promo codes depending on what you're into. He's got a ton of Johnny Barbados stuff. He's got the 34 Heritage jeans. I use them all the time. Wear them right now. Just wearing them right on my body. I'm like full Ed right now. With the exception of this shirt, I'm full on edsfineimports.com. Huge online store. Go to edsfineimports.com. Make sure you buy his Gitch. Gitch3 is your promo code. If you order 3 pair, I'll send you a free pair when you use that promo code Gitch3 at edsfineimports.com. That's it for us. Have a great day, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks to Spenny. Thanks to Loch. And thanks to you. I mean it. Seriously. Thank you. Bye.